Now, following the Queen's husband in a very personal and intimate documentary, Trevor McDonald presents the concluding part, a portrait of Prince Philip. And this programme contains flash photography.
For 6 decades, the Duke of Edinburgh has been one half of one of the world's most celebrated couples. Yet how well do we really know the Duke?
Never before have I found someone who's so different from their persona.
He's not a great spectator. He likes actually taking part.
I think he's rather good at being a grandfather.
Yes, yes.
Any signs of intelligence?
Oh, a lot of intelligence.
He is an outspoken, high-profile public figure in a world where everyone in his position generally minds their P's and Q's.
If the press concentrates more on his gaffes than on his good charitable works, then I guess that's just the way the world is.
But ultimately, there's only one person who decides what the Duke of Edinburgh will do, and that's himself.
The Duke of Edinburgh really inspires young people to do something with their lives.
I've seen him at a lot of royal occasions. Prince Philip will be rather lingering at the back, cracking jokes and not looking for trouble, but definitely looking for amusement in the situation.
He's the sort of chap you'd probably want to have a pint of Guinness with.
They love taking pictures of wheels.
The Duke of Edinburgh is showing me around Sandringham, the royal family's private estate in Norfolk. It's an opportunity to discover a side of the Duke we don't usually see.
Well, there's a muntjac deer just went in.
Yes.
There was a little ghastly little deer.
Yes, they don't look terribly attractive.
They're very good to eat, I have to say.
Are they?
Yes. Of course, this is where the infamous incident of the hen harriers is supposed to have taken place.
In October 2007, Sandringham attracted press attention after claims that a protected hen harrier had been shot. Fingers were pointed at Prince Harry.
This under-warden or whatever suddenly reported people shooting hen harriers. It was absolute nonsense. There weren't any there anyway. Well, no one had seen one anyway. In fact, there were masses of bird watchers down here at the time, and not a single one reported seeing a marsh harrier, so I think the whole thing was a complete invention.
The press are always looking for a royal headline. Over the years, abrasive comments attributed to the Duke have caused controversy.
When he said to the president of Nigeria, "Oh, you look like you're ready for bed," because he had his tribal robes on. It's the sort of thing that when you look at somebody and you do think, "Oh, that looks like a pair of pyjamas," and you think, "I better not say that because it's inappropriate to say it." There's something refreshing about someone that does put that out there. Many times the Duke of Edinburgh is a gift to the media because he will be incredibly rude to them and that becomes the story, or he'll say something inappropriate and that becomes the story.
They're expected to represent us in the best possible way to the widest possible number of people. And when they get that wrong with inappropriate remarks about slanty eyes or deli belly or whatever it is that he's had, then of course we're going to pick on that because he's not meant to do that.
I think that on many circumstances he just wishes to try and, as it were, puncture the balloon, to deflate the thing, and will occasionally pass a jocular remark. And there are all these po-faced journalists who write it down as though this is some great statement, that this is a pronouncement of some important kind. But I suppose he's got used to it.
None of us really want to see comments made about us if they are misinformed. And undoubtedly, in the vast spectrum of the media, of course there's going to be things that the facts are wrong.
For more than 30 years, royal photographer Arthur Edwards has followed the Duke all over the world.
How would you classify characterise the relationship between the Duke of Edinburgh and the press?
Well, sometimes it's brilliant. Absolutely, like tonight. It was just fabulous. He wanted to chat about everything. Other times it can be very, very frosty.
But when he gets angry, he has a habit of letting people know it.
Oh, no messing. He messing. I mean,
he speaks his mind.
This was over the incident where the Queen was going to an Aboriginal show, dance music, and the Prince said to them, "Are you still chucking spears at each other?" Well, the papers went crazy, but 2 days later, of course, by which time all the papers had come back to the palace, he was spitting feathers, and he let us know in uncertain terms. You know, that was a private conversation. You don't know the background to it, and and he really told us that we were all out of order.
Despite that, the Duke is never afraid to express an opinion.
Is there much organic farming here, sir?
Yes, quite a lot. But organic, it's not an unmixed blessing, and it's not an absolute certainty that it's quite as useful as it sounds.
I wonder whether to some extent people have gone overboard about organic farming. I mean,
well, you've got to be emotionally committed to it. But if you stand back and try to be open-minded about it, it is quite difficult to really find where it's been a real benefit. This is all organic, all this area.
Yeah.
The Duke has been responsible for the estate for over 55 years.
When the weather is better, this must be absolutely glorious. And you like painting in some of these scenes, do you?
Well, occasionally, yes.
Have you always painted?
No, not always, no. A friend of mine persuaded me to try.
Yes.
I was just a sort of jolly.
So this is the painting.
Jonathan Yeo, one of Britain's leading portrait painters, has been commissioned by one of the Duke's charities to paint their patron.
First letter I got, it says the dress for the sittings will be lounge suit. I hadn't really thought about what he should wear, but, lounge suit sounds fine. Please, could you advise me as to what you wish His Royal Highness to wear? It's like, oh, I see, I've got to wear the lounge suit. Ah, right.
The portrait was painted in 4 sittings at Buckingham Palace.
Never before have I found someone who's so different from their persona. A sort of image of him as a slightly sort of distant old buffer couldn't be further from the truth. I just had this sense of him constantly sort of saying things almost to put me off. A lot of the things were thrown out, sort of tested, what do you think about the sort of situation in Afghanistan, and jumping onto a sort of scientific research, and then sort of discussing the Lucian Freud exhibition. One of the things he kept asking about was, why I was mixing certain paints and using certain brushes in certain ways. And I sort of said, well, have you ever done any painting yourself? And he said, oh, I'm glad you asked. I've just taken it up again recently. He came in and he said, oh, I've got something to show you, and produces pictures he's done. And I look at them, I was like, oh, actually, they're not that bad at all. It was kind of Gauguin-esque. He's experimenting. He's obviously someone who, it's not someone who just picked it up and had a stab at it. He's obviously tried to sort of learn a bit about how to do it. He's obviously had someone who's quite a good teacher at some point along the way.
The Duke has been interested in painting ever since he was a young man.
It's rather nostalgic to think that he signs his pictures with the Greek P. It's a lovely touch, that, because, of course, he's not Greek at all. The Greek royal family were Danes.
I think there is romantic, sentimental streak to Prince Philip, but he is passionate about not letting us see it. He wants us to think of himself as being the quintessentially abrupt, sharp, insensitive character who calls a spade and doesn't mess around. Whereas, in fact, in the book, we actually had a photograph of a painting that he'd done of the Queen having breakfast. And it's charming. Couldn't be nicer. But he is not really comfortable with the rest of us thinking that, even though I think it's there.
It was during this Commonwealth tour in 1956 on board the Royal Yacht Britannia that the Duke filmed the artist Edward Seago.
Watching Seago doing his work, I think, was a great encouragement. I think his interest in painting, it came from looking at nature, bird watching, then wanting to, first of all, photograph. He used to be a fantastically keen photographer. I mean, a lot of his, both cine and single photographs.
At the same time, the Duke was pursuing another passion, the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme.
As a girly girl, I didn't know if I would really be suited to that kind of thing, but I learned a lot about my determination, and I remember eating lots of chocolate for the energy to get me to the end. I'm Catherine Jenkins, I'm a classical singer, and I achieved the Bronze and the Silver Duke of Edinburgh Awards.
My name's Charles Clarke, Member of Parliament for Norwich South, Gold Award holder.
I'm Ashley Jensen, I'm an actress, and I couldn't understand why everyone didn't do the Duke of Edinburgh Award.
Right, guys. 52 years ago, Prince Philip created the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme. His son, the Earl of Wessex, is now very actively involved.
The appeal of the award is actually really pretty simple. It's about having fun.
People of all backgrounds are working towards their bronze, silver or gold awards.
Action.
These teenagers from Upland School in Dorset are following more than 6 million others who have been through the scheme.
It's about encouraging young people to do things that they're either already doing or maybe things that they really haven't thought about doing, and encouraging them to get involved in those activities.
Hi, my name's Bethany Williams and my service is lifeguarding, and we also did a sponsored swim for the RNLI.
Hi, my name's Eileen Stone, I'm 15 years old and I've always loved fashion and it's something I want to go into in the future.
You're not really competing with other people, you're competing absolutely at your own level, and it's an achievement for yourself. This is for my helping at the primary school. She communicated easily with the class at their level.
Today, these Gold Award holders have been invited to St James's Palace to receive their certificates.
When we went to Holyrood Palace to receive our Gold Award, we didn't actually get to meet him. We met Mr. Tunnock of Tunnock's Tea Cakes, of which I'm a huge fan, it has to be said, but I was a little bit disappointed not to meet the Duke of Edinburgh himself.
The Duke of Edinburgh will come in through that door there at round about 11:30. He's very rarely late. He's almost always on time or early, so we do have to be on our toes.
For all those who are potentially interested in Duke of Edinburgh, come down, you get tea and biscuits, and you get to meet someone in royalty. What more can you do?
He's fun, he's feisty, he's flirty, he's a game guy. I don't know if you're allowed to say that about the husband of the monarch, but he is, and that comes across today.
Did you all walk for your expeditions?
No. Yeah, I did.
No pedlars or paddlers? Or...
I canoed.
You canoed, did you?
I did.
Did you get taken up to the top of the river, put in the thing, you just float down?
Or rather fall in my case.
You fell in, did you?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
They set them challenges, they set them goals. You have to improve on your own ability, you have to strive to achieve.
I think I was always quite a focused teenager anyway, but I learned a lot about myself. I think it's that realisation that you're out on your own.
What I learnt was to take decisions, get involved, engage with problems rather than thinking they'd go away.
Anybody do any conservation work, did you?
Conservation in Belize jungle, where the SAS used to train, right up in the remote jungle.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
It's lovely part of it, yes. It looks rather like sort of Sussex, doesn't it, in places? It's amazing, yeah.
The Earl of Wessex achieved the Gold Award himself in 1986.
I got involved only because I made the mistake of doing it. I got involved when I was still at school, and I was at Gordonston, which was where the whole thing started. And that, fun enough, was the first I'd ever heard about it.
One of Gordonston's very first pupils was the Duke.
It was a tiny little experimental place in, forgive me, the middle of nowhere. It was very remote, very unusual, very Spartan and tough. It, I think, helped to make Prince Philip into a very unusual person.
The school's founder was Dr. Kurt Hahn, an educational pioneer.
I remember talking to Prince Philip about Kurt Hahn, and suddenly you could feel him becoming interested for the first time. Kurt Hahn was opposed to conventional games and preferred the idea of service and climbing mountains and sailing.
Hahn soon spotted star potential in the boy who would become his most famous pupil.
One thing you can definitely say, that he was one of those boys who very early rendered disinterested service and who never asked for any privilege on account of his birth.
The scheme was established in 1956. It was open to all. But there was a great deal of opposition.
When it first started, it was regarded as being extremely radical, and it was done against the run of play. I mean, the Boy Scouts hated the award scheme. So did, the Welsh and the Scots, because they thought it was an English nationalist thing. And the Conservative Party in particular absolutely hated the idea of it.
There were comments made that, what is this man trying to form a sort of youth organisation? And I'm not sure that somebody didn't actually say a Hitler Youth Organisation. But the fact of the matter is, today, there are over 6 million youngsters worldwide have done the Duke of Edinburgh's Award.
2 years later, the Duke began exporting his ideas through the Commonwealth. Today, in Uganda, it's called the Source of the Nile Award. Katende Mukabe is local supervisor.
The Duke was thinking for the youth, what is good for the youth and the future of the world, because the youth hold the future of the world. The children are trying to help the old mama here, because they found out that she is taking care of 2 orphans. She had no kitchen, and her situation was really appalling.
Uganda is one of 53 former colonies that make up the Commonwealth, the family of nations that accounts for nearly 2 billion people. At its head is the Queen.
I think the Commonwealth is particularly important to the Queen, and therefore by extension to Prince Philip, because the Queen's father was the king of a quarter of the world. There's a sense of history and of a global reach and importance that the family still has because of the Commonwealth that it had during the imperial days.
At St. James's Palace, the Queen and the Duke are holding a lunch for the speakers of Commonwealth parliaments.
And I will simply say, Mr. Michael Martin, and she'll shake your hand. Perhaps you could just dip your head in the usual sort of way. And then Lady Hayman, perhaps a little curtsy would be great. And then the Duke of Edinburgh will come in behind, of course. At that moment, perhaps, Mr. Martin, you could go behind Lady Hayman to take the Queen up the stairs. Keep to the wall, please, Mr. Martin. There'll be nobody on the stairs now.
Who would be first in the line?
It's Mr. Speaker Chatterjee.
Speaker Chatterjee. Without hesitation, you can introduce yourself. That will be a help. That'd be an immense help to both of us.
The Duke of Edinburgh has been known not only as a concert, but as a believer in Commonwealth, spirit of Commonwealth, and has been going to different countries to meet with the people, and therefore he has a lot of admirers in my country also.
But you weren't doing that last time I saw you, I don't think.
No, I think we were
Were you expecting to get to this? Exactly. We were paddling together for bloody miles. How's it going?
It was fun, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we do miss you, though. You haven't come for a while.
No. But aren't you celebrating some anniversary, or was my
The
dream?
National Trust, yes, 50 years coming this year.
It's this year, is it?
Yes, it is, yes.
Oh, good. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, Wallace.
Give him my regards.
The Duke has often toured the Commonwealth on the Queen's behalf. He's paid 223 solo visits to 67 Commonwealth territories.
And I went to the Olympic Games in Melbourne in 1956. And after that, I came home in the yacht across the South Pacific into the Antarctic Peninsula and then up the South Atlantic.
On his epic 1956 solo tour of the Commonwealth, the Duke kept a remarkable record on his cine camera. It's never been shown outside the royal family, until now. At home, though, some people suggested that the tour was too long.
There were rumours of a royal rift. Yes, he was away for a long time. Yes, the children were very small, and his absence included Christmas. And, you know, it still rankles with him, I think, that even all these years afterwards, people still say, oh, well, you went on that fantastic jolly and it was great fun. I don't think that was what was going through his mind. He actually thought that, you know, we have a Commonwealth, well, let's go and, you know, show the flag, if you like.
Every 2 years, there's a gathering of all the Commonwealth leaders. This year, it's in Uganda. The Queen, accompanied by the Duke, will open the proceedings in the capital, Kampala.
Uganda's been through some pretty black days. For very many Ugandans, having a state visit is enormously important. It signals that Uganda is back in its rightful place in the community of nations.
It's 53 years since the Queen and the Duke last visited Uganda.
When we arrived, and I was in a car behind them driving from the airport, I would have guessed probably 1 million people were lining the road to see them.
They are the sort of the embodiment, the symbol of the Commonwealth, and they cause, it's incredible watching the crowd react to them through the force of their popularity. They've done a lot to keep the Commonwealth together.
When I signal for you like this, then we shall all start. Can I see that, everybody? There is a boy there who is not smiling.
The Duke accompanies the Queen to Kitante Primary School.
And the next one?
At Kidukuru Hospital for Children with HIV, the visit is a cause for celebration and a show.
That is what we used to put on those days. Wow, they look so nice, don't they? And now, the modern Chikanda wear by Brenda and Oliver. Brenda!
2, 3.
For the first time, the next generation of royals is here too.
Today, huge chunks of the British Commonwealth have come to live in the United Kingdom. And in many ways, this country is now far more representative of the Commonwealth than it ever has been before. And people have ties to the Commonwealth now. People go back and forward. So it may be that in the 21st century, rather than dying out, the Commonwealth to this country and to its people will become more important. And if that's the case, then the country will owe a great debt of gratitude to the Queen for helping to keep the Commonwealth alive.
Away from official engagements, the Duke takes every opportunity to unwind.
This way, you idiots! When you're turning around for you stupid... Get on.
The Duke of Edinburgh is one of the very few people to have had a game of tennis near the South Pole.
Now here is a very historic picture. This is the president of the British Association for the Advancement of Science playing the very first game of tennis in the Antarctic Circle.
Sport, I suppose, started at school. I mean, he was very good at cricket. He was very good at most games. He was a very good sailor. He's not a great spectator. He likes actually taking part.
As a young man, the Duke also got a chance to play cricket with some of the greats of his day, among them Australian legend Don Bradman.
He has a perfect action for a right-hand off-spin bowler. Now, I
We have been accused at times of being ungenerous, so I submit that to the English selectors straight away.
These days, the Duke restricts his cricketing activities to the boundaries.
We often talks about sport, in particular cricket, and asked if I've seen the latest scores.
One of cricket's best-known charities, the Lord's Taverners, have him as their patron. Well, sort of.
When he was asked to be patron of the Lord's Taverners when it started in 1950, he thought the patron sounded rather boring and thought that 12th man sounded a bit more interesting. The 12th man brings the teas on for the cricket pitch, and he thought that was quite a good fun idea.
Today, the Duke has invited England's new county champions, male and female, to Buckingham Palace to receive their medals.
Well, just collect the medals. You gather around here. Tallest at the back, shortest at the front.
For a competitive young man like the Duke, though, cricket was not enough. His uncle, Lord Mountbatten, had a bright idea soon after Prince Philip's marriage to Princess Elizabeth.
But my father kept saying to her, you know, Philip would love this, because it's a very fast, very dangerous, very exciting game. It would suit him down to the ground. And she said, no, don't say anything, don't push it, don't nag, just leave it alone. And gradually, as the weeks went by, Prince Philip would sort of drive past the polo ground and have a look in the distance. Then he'd come and sit in a stand, and then he'd have a practice. And then, of course, he played wonderful polo himself.
At the age of 50, he switched from saddle to seat and tried carriage driving.
This way, you bloody idiots! We're not going around there for you. Stupid. Get on.
It can be very dangerous. Prince Philip's had some very bad years. I think in one particular year, he turned over 3 times.
Now, you idiot!
And Prince Philip was an excellent competitor, due, and a noise like a sort of express train coming got louder and louder, and round the corner came Prince Philip's 4 ponies, pulling a carriage on its side. No sign of Prince Philip. So the carriage was put on its wheels again, and it seemed to be quite all right. So Prince Philip said, right, I'll carry on. And he did carry on, he came 3rd.
He believes that if you do something, you should do it properly. And that extends beyond actually participating, so that, you know, when it came to equestrianism, he actually, you know, wrote the rules.
It was the same story with another favourite sport, sailing. He rewrote the racing rules of the Royal Yacht Squadron in Cowes.
When he was our Commodore, he introduced a number of quite important modifications to our affairs. He came ashore one day and said he was completely confused by all the different rules and regulations, and something perhaps should be done about this. I think it was under his leadership. All starts were on one line, and it was a lot easier for competitors to work out what they were supposed to be doing.
These days, he keeps up the carriage driving here at Sandringham.
But I like coming here with the ponies, because you can drive all over the place, and you can go in a different direction every day.
You must take a great deal of satisfaction from what you've accomplished with this estate, having been asked by the Queen to...
Well, it's keeping it going. I mean, you know, so another generation's going to move in, and while we've been here, we've tried to sort of keep it going and earn its keep, and also the sheer pleasure of being here.
Today, the Duke has many places he can call home, but his early life was very different.
His mother had what one might call a religious crisis, nervous breakdown. Prince Philip was taken out for a walk one day, and when he came back, his mother had gone. from 1930 onwards, when, let's face it, he would only have been 9 years old, he really was going from pillar to post. And I think that's where you find him, his character coming out and him, as I say, making the best of it.
His father died in Monaco in 1944. By that time, his mother had recovered and returned to Greece. During the German occupation in World War II, she kept a secret.
She hid a family called Cohen, and I met the, as it were, young Mr. Cohen. He was then about 84 years old in Paris some years ago. Many years later it came to light, and she was given a posthumous Yad Vashem award, which is an award given to a Gentile who's helped Jews under difficult situation. Neither Prince Philip nor his sister were aware of this at all, and nor were they surprised about that, because they said that's how she was.
The Duke's mother spent her last 2 years at Buckingham Palace with her son and his young family.
Prince Philip has always been very much the head of the family privately, which is what the Queen wants, because she thinks it's the natural state of things, and it's right, because, of course, don't forget, we're talking about a generation or 2 or 3 generations ago when we all thought like that.
He's always had a very strong sense of duty and obligation. You know, it comes from a generation that, after all, fought through the war, and they perceived things differently from the generation that came after them. I think he feels that the younger generation don't have quite that sense of duty.
He had that very close relationship with Princess Anne.
Princess Anne is very much her father's daughter. I think she thinks in exactly the same way. She has the same sort of compartmentalized brain. She has the same sort of very sharp, instant response, in intelligent thinking things through attitude to things.
There is a gap of more than 10 years between Princess Anne and Prince Andrew. In due course, it is the youngest child, Prince Edward, who will inherit the title of Duke of Edinburgh.
He's very close to Prince Edward. I think he and his wife Sophie, I think they all sort of very often, have a nice time sitting watching the television together.
Prince Philip was very good with the younger boys. Prince Charles is such a sensitive person that he seems to have found it difficult with his father in the early ages.
They both paint, they're both interested in the countryside, they're both interested in schemes to do with young people and so on. I think the crucial difference, particularly with the two of them as younger men, was that on the one hand, Prince Philip was very anxious that we shouldn't know about this romantic, sentimental side of his nature, whereas Prince Charles is extremely anxious that we should all know exactly how sensitive he is about such issues.
Behind the scenes, the Duke of Edinburgh has obviously been trying to guide Diana over the years, certainly trying to guide Sarah Ferguson, because he knew that their behaviour was crucial to the future of the monarchy. If you look at the Duke of Edinburgh now, he's also modernised, if you like, in his parenting, because if you look at the relationship that he has with his grandchildren, it's much softer than he was perhaps perceived as a father.
The night before the funeral of Princess Diana, Prince William was not at all sure whether he wanted to walk in the funeral procession because of the media hoo-ha that had been going on in that week.
The chief mourners, Prince Charles and his son, Prince William and Prince Harry, and on the right, Earl Spencer, emerging from St. James's Palace, Duke of Edinburgh behind Earl Spencer.
And Prince Philip said to him 2 things. He first of all said, I think that when you're older, you'd very much regret it if you didn't walk behind your mother's coffin.
Take their places behind it.
And then he said to him, and I'll walk with you. I think that answers everything you need to know about Prince Philip as a grandfather.
I wondered where the Duke of Edinburgh was when I saw the gates of Buckingham Palace. I should have thought of it. He, of course, going to walk to, a gentleman of 75 years old.
Sort of almost immediately after Diana's death and throughout the 10 years following up to the inquest, allegations have swirled around about a possible involvement of the royal family in some sort of murder conspiracy. Because of alleged bad relations between the Duke and Diana, the focus was very much on the Duke of Edinburgh.
I think, like all relationships, probably between daughter-in-law and father-in-law, there were good times and there were bad times. There were times when they got on well together. There were other times when they did not get on together.
Over the years, there were allegations that the Duke had written hostile letters to his daughter-in-law. The palace preferred not to comment.
That was a private matter. And I think there's a very clear division in the royal family's private matters and their public face. And I think what particular support the Queen have given to members of their family is as private as you and I would hope to have our dealings with members of our family. So yes, because they're not going to publicise it, then there is the opportunity to think that nothing is happening.
Today the Duke sent his most senior advisor, Brigadier Sir Miles Hunt Davies, to the High Court in an attempt to set the record straight. The Brigadier brought with him the letters which have given rise to so many rumours. Extracts were published by the court.
At the inquest, the coroner declared that there was not a shred of evidence against the Duke.
There was a time when there had been a suggestion that he had called her a harlot, and as a result of this, I was allowed to read the letters, and I can assure you he did no such thing. They are very touching letters. They were showing enormous concern. You know, he was really trying to do anything he could to keep the marriage together. He expressed the feeling that, you know, he himself had been a newcomer to the family once and certain amount about what he'd been through, and so how he did understand that. And I, you know, contrary to what some of the people have said on her behalf, I think she was very appreciative of this help. Unfortunately, of course, in the end, the dialogue broke down, but that's another story.
The Commodore of the Royal Yacht Squadron, Lord Iliff, has come to see the Duke of Edinburgh.
Morning, sir. Good morning. How may I help you?
The day might start at Buckingham Palace with a number of audiences where Prince Philip may receive any one of the representatives from 773 organisations of which he's patron.
We probably spent about half an hour talking things over and chatting about the affairs of the squadron.
If he has taken on a charity or a patronage, that is something that has his support as and when it's needed. And he keeps constantly in touch with the ones that wish to still use his patronage.
The Duke is a former president of the National Federation of Housing Associations. Near Windsor, the residents of this once neglected estate have turned its fortunes around.
The flats really were dilapidated. You couldn't get anybody to come. Even the pizza men wouldn't deliver here.
Yes, I am.
This lot?
Yes, all this lot. Yes, yes, yes.
Any signs of intelligence?
Oh, a lot of intelligence. Yes, absolutely.
This is our office, yeah. Surprising what you can get on the space of 2 blocks of flats, you know.
It makes much better use of the space.
Well, it does, but...
Come in. Welcome to my humble abode.
Good grief, what's going on here?
That's the machine that chewed up the concrete when they chewed the building down.
It's a beak it's got.
Yeah. It's like a dinosaur. Yeah.
Best thing that had happened in most of these high-rise down there are disasters, most of them.
Yeah.
They're all right for elderly people.
Yeah.
But not for families.
No, no good for families at all. The pigeon's having a shower there.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, pleasure.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
He is never a figurehead. He's always the driving force with so many of them. In fact, one of his earlier secretaries said to me, we like to tilt at windmills, and the more difficult the challenge, the greater they relish it.
The Duke has arranged an evening in support of the Cutty Sark Trust, a charity he helped to create. He's taken over the Palace Cinema for the night.
The room we're in today is the cinema, and it's been used as such since the Queen moved here in 1952. It's used occasionally for the showing of staff films, but the majority of the time it's used for staff briefings and for more formal presentations such as today.
The Duke of Edinburgh is concerned about many aspects of life, particularly those that are good but are in danger, and the past is always in danger. So the Cutty Sark was an obvious cause that he would back.
In 1954, the Duke and the Trust secured a permanent home for the old tea clipper in London.
The Cutty Sark was actually floated in from the Thames into its current berth at Greenwich. His heart is absolutely there right from those days. Right through his whole life, he's been passionate about the sea, and not just the boats, but what they stand for and the lives on them.
Tonight's a chance to remember the ship as she was. But now she's in trouble again. During important renovation work, the ship was recently devastated by fire.
The Duke came to visit the ship for a considerable amount of time the day after. Now, we all know how busy his schedule is.
When I went down to see her, I was struck by the fact that she had actually got through it extraordinarily well. And I've had a certain amount of experience with fires. And trying to restore things afterwards.
Britain has changed more in the time that Prince Philip has been consort to the Queen than at any time in our history. We live in a more mobile age, a less deferential age, an age when even institutions like the monarchy have to earn their place in society. But actually, when you look at the different world he came from, it's been remarkable he's been able to keep pace with things the way he has.
It's a curious thing to say about somebody who, in a sense, is absolutely the head of the establishment, but at the same time he is naturally against pomposity and self-importance and a certain sort of establishment. It sounds absurd to say that he's egalitarian, but in a way I sometimes think that he's one of nature's Australians, because there is a sort of robust, earthy egalitarianism about him.
So Prince Philip will sit there, and you sit here.
If you and I look at his record of what he's done, and he's still doing, let's face it, aged 80, whatever, it'd be a very strange person if he didn't think, well, I got that right. Oh, I probably got that right. And he, being the person he is, he'll also probably think, I didn't get that right. But, you know, I think, he's a human being.
And you can now switch off. You want to go and look at your truffles?
Oh,
there's nothing to see.
No, I know, but have you always had an interest in truffles? Do you?
No.
No. Do you cook? Do you cook?
Not seriously. No. The great thing about this is there are no trees and no truffles. So you have to have the right sort of organisms that you inject into the plant, apparently.
When do you expect them to come on stream, as it were?
Marcus?
Well, I'm hoping within the next couple of years.
I see.
We're going to have to train dogs from the kennels. And apparently what you should do is, when you're having a litter, you should rub truffle oil on the teat of the bitch. Well, that's the plan, anyway.
We should all be dining at your place, Marcus.
No, he's not going to get me.
He's not going to
get
get
I won't be, no.